Today in this video, we are talking about Beardo Acid and it's going head to head with Hawas Verde. Now, there is a massive 2500 rupees price gap between these two perfumes as on date when I'm recording this video. Why? Hawas Verde as of now sells for 4000 rupees and Beardo Acid costs 1500 for 100 ml. So there is a massive 2500 rupees price gap. And now if you know me, I am a value finder of perfumes. I usually tend to purchase perfumes which offers the best bang for your buck. So the general question now applies. Out of these two, which one is for whom? Who should get this and who should get this? We will be doing all the judgment from that 2500 rupees price point of the gap, the price gap of 2500 rupees, okay? So starting off on the presentation front, this is the best 30 ml miniature from an Indian brand till date, in my opinion. Why? Beardo did a lot of things with the packaging and the presentation of this 30 ml miniature as well. The atomizer is controlled, pressurized. The bottle doesn't feel cheap in any way from the way the color, the etching has been done. Everything feels very neat and tidy. The only complaint, if you're nitpicking, is with the cap, because it's a plastic cap. That's the only thing. But then again, when you are buying a budget perfume, these kind of things are kind of very evident and I don't have a complaint with that. So in terms of the presentation from the point of view of Beardo Acid, I don't have any complaints. Although I have the 30 ml bottle, I don't have the 100 ml with me and it's okay. Maybe the 100 ml ones are a bit better, but even the 30 ml ones are really good. Now, coming to Hawas Verde. Verde, by the way, in Spanish means green, which basically implies the perfume. And these two perfumes are trying to clone a very expensive 20,000 rupees perfume, which is Torino 21. Now, 20,000 rupees on a designer, that to a freshie, my wallet gets hurt. I would rather buy any of these and call it a day. There is no doubt about it. Even though I'm missing out on some nuances, okay, that the designer or, the expensive perfume has to offer. I'm done. 4,000 rupees, even 1,500, I'm good to go. So coming back to the presentation. I mean, there is nothing special with Hawas Verde. It's a typical Hawas bottle. It looks the same, just that the color combination is different over here. The cap is golden, although metal cap, the atomizer, the bottle, everything is kind of Hawasy. There is no doubt about it. And I mean, if in case you're just looking at this bottle for the first time, you will feel like, wow, this is a really good bottle. It looks very sexy. There is nothing wrong in that. If in case you already own a Hawas flanker or the OG Hawas, you will not be overwhelmed by it. You will be like, another Hawas. From a 2500 rupees price gap between the two, does it make sense in the presentation point of view? Absolutely not. Now let's move on to the smell profile. Torino 21 is a very good summer freshie in my opinion, and the DNA, I think in 2026 is going to go very, very, very viral due to the introduction of clones like Verde Acid, Platine Blanc from Aromatics and French Avenue collaboration. There are others. I think a lot of more houses are going to clone this DNA now. Coming back to Hawas Verde and Beardo Acid. Now, the scent profile of Torino 21 is basically dominated by three notes: mint, basil, and citruses. It's a very fresh, uplifting perfume with a minty note, which is very, very, very refreshing in my opinion. And although I have smelled Torino 21 only once or twice, and I don't own a full bottle, even a decant at this point in time, but definitely in the future, I'm going to buy the other clones and we are going to do a clone war to pinpoint how accurate or how close these clones are to the OG. But for now, from the general point of view, I can say that they are in the same DNA, but the OG has got a little bit more nuances, which are kind of missing or is kind of a bit inspired in the DNA of Verde as well as Acid. Now, coming to Verde as well as Acid, there is some key differences in the perfume and let me tell you how. Let me start off with Verde and then I will tell you how Acid is different. Verde will basically give you a feeling of a very specific toothpaste that I have used and a very specific chewing gum that I have used. The toothpaste is Colgate Max Fresh and the chewing gum is double mint spearmint flavored chewing gum. That particular two combined together, the kind of fresh minty green essence that you get from that particular two smells, that is the kind of smell that Verde has. Also, along with those minty citrusy notes, there is a subtle, slight hint of Hawas bubblegummy sweetness that you will see lingering on into the opening and the mid note, which is very, very, very evident, but it's not overpowering. It's very soft and subtle. It kind of reminds you that I am a Hawas flanker. That's what Verde is. It's kind of that nuanced, like salt bay, like salt on top of the DNA of Torino 21 with the Hawas OG, which I think is very evident over here. And the showstopper over here is the note of mint. It's very refreshing. It's very evident and it's very refreshing. Now, Beardo Acid, on the other hand, is a tad bit different. It is in the same family, as I said earlier, but it's kind of like the cousin to Hawas Verde. Here, the mintiness is kind of very mellowed. It doesn't feel that minty. Rather, it's more citruses and green herbal notes that you will get with this particular perfume, even in the top notes. So the perfume kind of opens up with less mintiness and that OG Hawas bubblegummy sweetness that I was talking about, that Hawas Verde has, which is that underlying undertone, nuanced character that I was talking about, that is completely missing over here. Beardo Acid has got zero sweetness baked into it. Like in case of Hawas Verde, there is some level of sweetness that you will expect or you can experience. With Acid, there is none. So if in case you're somebody who doesn't like sweet perfumes and you want something for the summers and it shouldn't be a blue category perfume or a generic freshie cheapy out there, this can be a really good option for you. As the perfume starts going into the dry down, the differences are a bit more evident over here. With Acid, the transition is kind of very bleak. What happens is they introduce a note of verbena into the mix. Verbena or verbenium is basically a floral note which doesn't feel like a flower. It's more like a very earthy, green, citrusy kind of a note, which gets added on top of that already existing lemon citrusy note that was already evident over here. It's more greener, okay? That adds a bit more depth of greenliness into this particular perfume. So from that citrusy green element, it kind of becomes more green and less citrusy. That is how this perfume kind of transitions into. What difference Verde brings into the picture in terms of the smell profile is now they add, in the mid note and the base note, they add nuances of green apple and they add some sweetness of amber and some depth and darkness of patchouli. So the dry down kind of gets more interesting now in case of Verde, and the transition is very, very, very evident, which Beardo Acid kind of lacks. And that is kind of very evident. Although they're not saying that we are trying to clone each other, but because the direction is same, which is Torino 21, they are kind of taking the different route, trying to reach the same spot. But on the way, the character kind of changes. That is what is happening. Over here, zero sweetness, and over here, some amount of sweetness is available with some other nuances. And if in case I have to sum it up from a pictorial representation or a graphical representation, I would say, imagine there are like total 10 points that you can allocate into 3 parameters. Sweetness, citrusiness, and greenness. Okay, pardon my words, I can't figure out anything else. So sweetness, citrusiness, and greenness. Okay, Acid will score 6 points on the greenness, 4 points on the citruses, and 0 on the sweetness. While in case of Verde, the scoring is different. 4 on citruses, 4 on greenliness, and 2 on the sweetness. So it's a tad bit sweeter, and the elements of greenliness and the citruses are kind of very balanced. So in the mid and the dry down, the differences are kind of a bit evident, and from an overall holistic percentage point of view, I would say Acid is kind of 70% closer to Verde, although Verde has got more transitions and depth baked into it. Acid does not, and I'm not even expecting that from Acid, to be honest. The pricing are different, so it's very evident. However, I have to give one thing to Beardo Acid, that is how much they have come far. In terms of the quality, how good they have done with Beardo Acid. There is almost zero alcoholic blast from this budget perfume. Can you imagine? When I actually purchased it, I was expecting a lot of alcoholic blast in the opening. But to my surprise, none. There is absolutely none. And kudos to Beardo. And that is the reason I personally feel, even from the price point of view of Beardo, this is an expensive perfume from the house of Beardo, because there are so many other perfumes from Beardo like Godfather, there is Whiskey Smoke, there is Whiskey Smoke Firebomb. These kind of perfumes are available at like 500, 600 rupees for 100 ml. This on the other hand, 100 ml is 1500. So it's kind of like double to 2.5 times the pricing of those perfumes. And from the quality, it's quite evident that they have put in a lot of, they have done a lot with the juice quality, and it's pretty evident, and kudos to Beardo for that. In terms of the smell profile, that's the difference. And if in case you're asking, is the 2500 rupees price cap justified over here? I would say absolutely yes. To get that masterful transition, to get that, nuances, to get that minty freshness in the opening, these kind of stuff, if in case you want to experience it, you will have to shell out that 2500 rupees more. But what if you're getting that acid? Are you missing out a lot of things? I would say yes, to some extent you will be missing out on a few stuff. But if in case you're tight on a budget, that 70-75% mark closer to Verde is not that bad in my honest opinion. Now, the performance and projection, here is where I think that Verde basically takes away the cake hands down, because this particular perfume will project for around 2 hours easily when applied on the clothes. The overall longevity that I have received with this particular perfume in a controlled AC environment is around 6 to 7 hours when applied on the clothes. That's a lot coming from a freshie. And that is the reason I feel that during the 2026, in the long lasting summer freshie perfumes, I think this will leave a mark of its own. It's a really good perfume. It makes you get noticed out in the crowd when you're applying it, and people will be able to get whiffs of this particular perfume. Although I don't know how many of them will be coming and giving you a compliment, because a lot of them are introvert or they really don't want to give compliments. That usually happens. But I know that people around you will be able to smell the perfume, because I review perfumes. People now come up to me and say, like my colleagues, like, hey, this perfume is smelling nice on you, or that perfume is smelling bad on you. For this particular one, it did get noticed. Now, for Beardo Acid, the performance is decent when you put the lens from an Indian budget perfume perspective. Why? Because this perfume will project for around an hour, and the overall longevity when applied on the clothes is around 5 to 6 hours max. The 6th hour is kind of a stretch. After that 5.5 hour mark, it kind of comes very close to the fabric, and you have to bring your nose like this to smell it. So all in all, if in case every 5 hours, if you're topping it up, then it's a really, really, really good option in my opinion. Now over here, you might ask, is that 2500 rupees price cap justified? I would say again, over here, I think it's around there. I would say yes, to some extent, and maybe no to a college going student out there, or even somebody who just joined a job. See, I'll tell you why. If in case you have just joined a job and you're tight on your budget, or you're a college student, okay, or even if you're going to the school, the point is, I don't think you need to spend 4,000 rupees over here. Get this, like 30 ml version will do the trick as well. Top it up every 5 hours and you're good to go. I really don't want you to spend these amount of money as of now. But if in case you're already doing, you are earning a good salary and you already have a decent collection, you have a knack for perfumes, and you want absolutely good performance, you want to apply it once and then you don't want to, remember to top it up every 5 hours or 6 hours, something like that. You want something reliable, then I think Verde kind of screams that, hey, I'm here, you should get me, kind of like that. But there are some things that I do want to point out. First and foremost, the pricing. And here I do need to give a shout out, okay? For Acid, I already told that I got it from Amazon, 650 rupees for this particular bottle. But the shout out that I need to give is to Elix Bloom. Thank you so much. Because of Elix Bloom, I was able to source the partial of Verde for a much discounted price. And because of sites like Elix Bloom, it's easier for us reviewers to get this partial so that we can make the reviews of this particular perfume, test it out properly. And thank you so much. By the way, if in case you're looking for good, genuine perfumes online, you can definitely check out Elix Bloom. There is no issue with the authenticity, shipping, tracking, packaging, anything. But disclaimer, just because I'm mentioning a website does not necessarily mean that you need to go and purchase from that site and that site only. Do your comparisons, see where you're getting it at the cheapest price possible. Subjected, the store is selling it. The store is selling genuine perfumes and is using a proper delivery channel or a delivery partner to ship their perfumes. That's it. Now, coming to the price point. I personally feel that at this point in time, Verde is a bit expensive. Why am I saying that? Because whenever a new Hawas flanker gets launched, the initial price is 3,500 to 4,000 rupees. Very soon after, like a month or two after the hype gets a bit down, the perfume pricing comes down to like 2,500 to 3,000, or say 3,100 or 200 max. That particular pricing, I think, is a sweet spot for this particular perfume. If in case you get this perfume anywhere between 3,000, say 2,500 to 3,000, just grab this. Don't go for this one, in my opinion, if in case you have the budget. At 4,000 rupees, I think you should wait it out for some time. If I were you, I would just buy a sample or a decant or a partial, and I would just wait till the hype is over. Then I would have invested in a full bottle. And if in case you're on a tight budget, that 2,500 rupees price gap do make sense. Don't buy Hawas Verde, rather get Beardo Acid. But if in case you can save up some money and at the same time you see that Verde is offered at around 3,000 rupees and then you're getting 1,500 for Acid, I would say then dump Acid and go for Verde. That is how I think the entire verdict I can put forward in front of you. If you're on a tight budget, you're not missing out on a lot of things, and Acid is the pure choice. If in case you have the opportunity to splurge, Verde is the better choice, hands down, any day. So that was kind of my comparison between Verde and Acid. If in case you have any queries or concerns about these two particular perfumes, you can definitely reach out to me, and you can use the comment section to reach out for the queries. Or if in case you prefer Instagram, you can message me or DM me at Send Saga Online Instagram handle. However, I'm a bit slow to respond over there, but I do respond, okay? And I'm trying hard to be more regular and online in Instagram as well. And with that, this is Deep signing off. I'll see you on the next one very soon. Bye-bye.